Brian, a little less drama with the speaker vote this time than the last time around, but the GOP has a tiny majority. Can the party stick together and advance its agenda, or do you expect more infighting like we saw the last term?
Okay, here's a station just for you.
My Alexa just answered. My Alexa just answered. Yes, so odd. I can't believe it. A couple of things. Everyone should just watch. Speaker Johnson wants to do this legislation. He wants to do the border. He wants to do military spending, and he wants to do tax reform all in one. And people say, why are you doing that? He says, because there are people that don't want to vote for tax reform. There are people that don't want to spend on the border. There are people that don't want to up defense. There are people that don't want to cut. There are people that do want to cut. But if I put it all together, they could turn around and say, I got something to my constituents. And Senator Thune, Senator Graham said, let's just do one at a time. President wants an early victory. If we wait to do everything, we're not going to get billed till April. So how can you keep them all together? Almost impossible. Now, he's got a 2-seat lead. It'll probably expand to a 5-seat lead when Lee Stefanik and Gates and Michael Waltz get their seats filled with special elections. But I wouldn't, it's not a reflection of his leadership. It's just a reflection of Republicans don't usually go in lockstep. I mean, unless they can have one of those come to Jesus meetings with Tom Massey, like Rand Paul, are just square pegs and round holes always. No, I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to go into leadership. I'm just going to complain. Chip Roy, to his credit, backed Governor DeSantis, but still took a call from the president. Said, listen, I know we've had our differences in the past. I know you picked somebody else. And he basically said, the only reason I'm voting for Johnson is you. So I just think that you and I could do this. We understand team sports. You're not going to get everything you want every day in the workplace. You walk in there, you don't get everything you want. I'm on a show with other people. I don't get everything I want. It's a little different. On Saturdays, I get just about everything I want. On the radio show, it's a collaboration. So you just got to know the game you're in. And some of these people just don't know the game they're in. And you go up to the speaker and you say, listen, I'm going to have trouble with re-election if I vote for this. And they go, listen, I promise you, I'm going to get you money. I'm going to get you visits from the president into your district in a year and a half. And these are the type of things that happen if you are moving in the right direction. And for some of I would also explore these Democrats that ran as Republicans, like Tom Suozzi in New York, who ran on the border, being tough on the border and working with President Trump when he can. Okay, let's call him out on that. You know how many lawmakers Democrats in Pennsylvania did the same thing? And these Republicans, the Democrats that beat Republicans in California, I think 3 of them beat Republicans, knocked them out of their seats. They sounded like Republicans. And these Democrats should be called out on it. Like, this is what this man and this woman ran on. So if they don't keep together, it wouldn't be surprising. If they do stay together, I think it'd be more surprising. But if they don't stay together, Trump gets nothing done. If Trump gets nothing done in 3-4 months, everybody loses. I realize that. You realize that. The audience realizes that. Hopefully the Thomas Masseys out there realize that.
So, Brian, Trump's got some controversial cabinet picks still pending here, including your colleague Pete Hegseth, RFK Jr. You've got Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel. Do you expect them, most or all of them, to go through, or is this going to be a big fight for confirmation in the Senate?
Well, Senator Thune told the president, Trump, not denied, that he thinks Hegseth's got the votes. Tulsi Gabbard's meeting with Mark Warner today, former Democrat. Will meet with Mark Warner. They know each other. Mark Warner's on the Intelligence Committee, respected on the left, looked at sometimes unwisely. If you watch how he handled the Russia investigation on Trump, he made stuff up, but they say that he's a level-headed guy. That's what she has to do. She's got to tap into her relationships with Democrats, and she's got to reassure Republicans. And she's got to be ready to explain her affinity with Assad and where it at. Was it just a phone call he got? He wanted to come visit me, and he did. She did. I'm on the Foreign Relations Committee, and so she did it. Or Armed Forces, I forgot which one she was. Or is she going to say, I really feel bad that Assad's out of power, and I'm going to do everything to get him back in? She would never say that. So I think it's going to come down to the nomination process. RFK could get Fetterman and Sanders, but he could lose Cassidy, who's a doctor. Cassidy said yesterday that I like him when it comes to food. If he's against vaccines, I'm against him. So how he's going to answer that question will decide if he gets through. I think he's very popular with young people. If you talk to people, in the 20-year-old bracket, and I'm with a lot of them, and they always say, "Oh, RFK." I'm like, what's the attraction? He goes, "We just like him." Now he's 70 years old, and young people like him. It goes to show you, it's what you believe, not necessarily how old you are.
So, Brian, there's a lot of thought that when President-elect Trump takes office, he will issue mass pardons to a lot of the people convicted on January 6th, even though maybe they have serious convictions, violent criminal convictions, that sort of thing. Do you think it is a good idea for a lot of pardons for those people?
Well, look, 140 cops they say were hurt. If you hit a cop, you stay in jail. But my feeling is that a lot of them are way overcharged, and I think they got to have all these sentences looked at. Now, I'm looking at a guy yesterday who got arrested, assaulting people with a huge knife in his hand. He had 87 arrests. 87 arrests, and he's out. Some of these people have never done anything wrong. They got caught up in a moment. Let's say they made a huge mistake. Obviously, if you hit a cop, you made a mistake. I don't care what the reason is. Always. Now, there were over 4,000 assaults on police officers in New York last year. So what I'm trying to say is I want to just put in context that if some of these people, 140 cops got hurt by 140 separate people, they should pay a price. But do I want to see them locked up for 10, 15 years? No, especially when there's no way that's happening in every major liberal city, the ones who push this agenda down our throats. George Soros got an award for making sure DAs don't arrest criminals over the weekend. His son picked it up for him, who's worse than he is. He put all these loser DAs in who want to prosecute Danny Penny and let criminals run wild and mentally ill people burn people alive. And then you're going to say on one day with someone with no track record of violence, let's say loses it and does. I want to know, is it 6 months? Is it 6 weeks? Is it 6 years? And are you just waltzing through the Capitol because you're a pro-Trump person and you all walked in, taking pictures with some cops, walking up there and them saying, "Can you leave soon?" "Yeah, I'll be leaving in a second." Next thing you know, they're in jail for a year, 2 years. So I think they need to be examined. And I think only very small, I think 33% of the American people want to see these guys and these women pardoned. I don't want. I just think their sentence got to be put in proportion, and the people that were just tourists that day should be let out immediately.
So, Brian, as long as you've mentioned George Soros with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, we saw it go to him, to Hillary Clinton, Liz Cheney, Benny Thompson. Am I unkind to President Biden to look at that as just kind of a poke in the eye to a lot of people?
Oh, it is. And he said yesterday, the former president sat in the office for 3.5 hours on January 6th and didn't lift a finger. He screamed yesterday at the press on a non sequitur answer when they asked him something about his legacy. He says, "I know more foreign leaders than every goddamn one of you." No one even asked that question. He's an angry person who is looking to throw punches on his way out. And it's embarrassing himself. And yesterday was Social Security. Everybody wants Social Security. People listening to us right now who want their Social Security check increased, I get it. But just to arbitrarily increase everybody's money, you're going into the trust fund for money that is not even there. So you're making things tougher for President Trump as he tries to get through this. It's going to go bankrupt in 3 years. And then yesterday he made that comment about the democracy and the democracy in this. And then here Liz Cheney is your medal. Liz Cheney is way over the top. She's like someone who lost a temper. Immediately, she had a reason to be upset. She's going to, like John Bolton, just as upset. Some Republicans, conservative Republicans, don't like Trump. That's fine. But she went so over the top and got so incensed, it's almost like a drunken fight. You might have had a reason to stand up to your girlfriend, but they ended up trying to fight 25 people. You whipped out a weapon, and then you resisted arrest. And you go, wait a second. You might have done it for the right reasons, but your reaction is way over the top. So she's isolated, alone. She could probably never run for office again, but she gets a medal from a guy I know she thinks is incompetent, whose policies got us in nothing but trouble, especially on foreign policy.
All right, so Brian, what do you have coming up on the show today?
I got General Kellogg on the latest on the Ukraine-Russia talks, and I don't think there's anybody better to talk to. Senator Tommy Tuberville, Senator John Cornyn. Then we have Michael Goodwin and Julian Epstein said this election, he's a Democrat, is the end of the Obama legacy, and it couldn't come soon enough. People talk about what Trump did to the Republican Party, now more positive than negative. Well, Obama's legacy is, if you look at just pure results, good for him. He's going to be a billionaire. Not good for the Democrats.
All right, Brian, thanks for talking with us. Have a great show today.
You too.